Alright, so here is the walk around of this car. So you got some driving videos, some in-car videos. I'll show you more of the inside here in a minute. And I do have the photos of these rockers removed. These are the steel rockers. Okay, so let's go into a little bit of the history on the car. This is the 1971 Porsche 914, 1.7 liter factory engine, numbers matching, engine, trans, and still has the fuel injection on it. I've redone a lot of stuff on this car. Every gasket has been done. It's 48,000 miles. I didn't split the case, so it's got new head gaskets, front and rear main seals. Your clutch kit has been done. All the cables, e-brakes, brakes front and rear. It's got stainless steel heat exchangers, all the heater tubes and cables, those have all been rebuilt because I wanted to have heat on this car. This is the Vintage Speed, air-cooled I think it is, or Vintage Air-Cooled, that company. And they just do an amazing job for stainless steel. And this is specific for the 1.7 liter. I just thought it was the best looking, and honestly it's probably overkill for this car. A lot of the gaskets have been done, a lot of the seals, just to give it like a tight fit. Your door jambs are amazing on this. Your gaps, even on the lift with the roof off, everything. There's no rust, so that's the nice thing about this car. And what I'd like is a local sale so we could put it up on the lift at the shop and you can see for yourself. That's the best way, for this sale. Either you drive it with me or I take you out in it and then we can put it up on the lift. Or if you have a specific place here around Frederick, Maryland, we can go there together. All right, let's start opening up some things. Start with the engine lid. Here's the engine. I know there's not a lot to see in here. They don't give you much room. So just for comparison here, there's my hand, pinky to thumb. Now I ran a high pressure fuel gauge on there just because I wanted to know exactly where we were at. I did new injectors on it, all new fuel lines. I don't know if we're going to be able to see that area down there, but I do have photos of it with that DME removed. There's your battery tray, your battery, drain tubes, there's your oil bath intake. All right. I'll show you the front trunk. Oh yeah, here's your paint code stuff. Is that working? Yeah. Here's another trunk. I did lay these things out just so I could show you during the film. I always keep these things on me, but this is the original owner, Rob Anderson, and this is his military card. There it is, 1974. This is what he was driving. Here's the factory service records. And this is even showing it. So it was purchased out of Florida, I believe Pensacola, Florida. And yeah, that one's cool. That's the Brumos there. Okay, so maybe this is a time that we start talking about the history on the car. Here's the maintenance, the owner's manual book. Here's all the records I have, including every time it was registered, where it was parked at, before I got it, while I got it, everything in there. All of this will come with the car. Oh, just like an old school car cover fabric. And then underneath here, you see in there, there's your spare. Let's check that out. There's your VIN tag. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop this video and we'll talk about the history of the car really quick. All right, let's talk about the history really quick. So what I did was when I finished this car, I reached out to Robert Anderson's brother, who I got the car from. He's late 80s, and I said, you know, I want you to see the car of your late brother to see it all done. And I said, is it possible that you can come out and we can do an interview? He said, I'd love to do that. Let's do it. Is it okay if I bring my son along? And then the son brought the grandkids, this and that. Unfortunately, because of the microphones and that video that I did shoot, it was a little too loud with a whole bunch of kids around the car. They were so excited. They were climbing all over and in it and everything. And, you know, a car for, I guess, their great uncle that they never met. So Mr. Anderson bought this car brand new down in Florida. And while we were doing the interview, his brother said, hey, I got a tag frame for that car, for this car. And he goes, but I don't think it looks like that, but it might be. He goes, I'm gonna go home and grab it. So he goes home, he comes back 2 hours later, and he leaves it at my doorstep, and sure enough, wrapped in this paper bag was an original Brumos tag frame. Now this is the other tag frame that I got from visiting there a couple of months ago, but he dropped off the original Brumos tag frame. So I can't figure out why it's been serviced at Brumos early on in the owner's manual, in that service record, but then he had the original license plate bracket. So I really can't say for sure where it was sold out of. I thought it was Pensacola. I don't think it was Jacksonville. I am acquaintances with Hurley Haywood, but there's no way that we're gonna go back in that history and he'll know anything about that. So we're not gonna go there. But it was really neat that right after he bought this car in Florida, because he was in the military, he was in the Air Force, I believe, Navy Air Force, he then was transferred over to San Diego, possibly Miramar. And in 1988, unfortunately, during a training exercise with a radar jet, leaving an aircraft carrier over the China Sea with 6 pilots, they lost consciousness, the plane wrecked into the sea, and 2 out of the 6 pilots were unfortunately killed. And one of them being the owner of this car. So in 1988, unfortunately, he passed away. His parents then, living out here in Maryland, actually Bethesda, Maryland, came out and got the car from the West Coast, drove it back to the East Coast, and they kept it in storage at this place here, which I believe is Carroll Manor Country Club in Bethesda. I got to double check that. And it was in the, you'll see the photos in the front trunk. That's where it was at. So roof is back on. And here is the trunk area. Here's the jack. Got an extra V-belt in there. Oh, here's the little tool kit. There's that one. I just changed these out for some better condition ones that I had. The problem with these, the new ones are like too white. So I really like the look of the original ones. Here's my tool roll. So I'll keep that one and you get the original one. It has this foam pad thing down in here. we can check. Sometimes it gets wet if you're not careful putting the trunk up, and you'll get these little like kind of surface rust areas, but nothing wholly, which is cool. And then obviously you're stamping there. Yeah. Oh yeah, new trunk seal, and then a new front trunk seal, or the front seal. All right, this is the inside. Let's go ahead and check out the inside. This is all factory from what I know. 1971, you'll see some changes on the early cars, such as the chrome bezels around the door handles, your window switches, the corduroy inserts, the non-adjustable passenger seat, which I believe goes up to about 1972. And in here, I do have a Momo Prototipo. This is date matched in 2011. We got your 901 dogleg transmission, and this is a Weltmeister short shifter, and it is amazing. The second I did that, it really improved the shifter on this tail shifter, but I wouldn't be scared, you know, with a tail shifter to side shifter transmission. This one does just fine. As you can see, there's no center console. Here's your pedals down there. Got the old school radio. It does work. It has an antenna. I added this, like, kind of this, you know, this neat little Lejour. Big fan of Hoyers, so I figured why not just throw a Lejour in there. You'll get this. This will come with the car because it's cool and it works and it's fun. You could time yourself going to get milk and ice cream. Here, you'll see you got the normal Zippo style 914 cigarette lighter, right? That's kind of neat. But if you look here, this is your wiper switch. How can I show it to you? There's your wipers. So on an early 914, you don't have any stalks on the right-hand side, which is really neat. I like that a lot. And that's your wipers there. All of your heater switches, those do function. There's your dash. There's an original dash, a couple of cracks in there. Your mirror, your visors, which are, you know, they work really well. And not loosey-goosey where these things will be flapping on you. I mean, you could do some pretty impressive speeds in there and not worry about it. There's a new gasket down in there. We did that. Here's your switches. This obviously is your headlight pull. Pull it out half for your parking lights, all the way out for your flip ups. You have your fog lights here, factory fog lights, very cool. And then of course your emergency. We're not gonna get into that whole sound in cars thing. I have the extra key for it. So you'll get 2 keys, maybe 3 keys. Here's your ashtray. Gonna smoke some stuff. This is your heater pull. You pull this up when you want heat. Let's go ahead and start it up. There she is. Here's your mileage. Now this will blink as you have your emergency brake up. Oh, let's talk about the steering wheel. So you'll also get the factory steering wheel. I know that's hard to find. It will come with the factory leather wrapped steering wheel. Let's go ahead and hear the exhaust. Here's your back over here again. Your dome light. Can't remember which one is which. It's that one. There we go. All right, one more walk around with the roof on. Personally, I like the look of the roof on. Here's your window. Come on, how cool is that? Door panel, door jamb. This up. Well, I'm not sure if you can hear me or not, but we're going to put together a couple of videos for this car because I just want to show how good it is. This is my personal 1971 Porsche 914 1.7 liter 4-cylinder in Irish green. It's the factory color, numbers matching engine and trans on factory fuel injection, so you can see just how smooth this car is. I got the passenger window up so the GoPro can suction to it, but now we're going into 5th gear. Now remember, these early cars, it's the same layout and body as the 914-6, so it has the non-adjustable passenger seats, some chrome trim that maybe you're not used to seeing on the mid to later 914 range. The 914 was from 1970 to 1976. We're not going to get into a history lesson or a Wikipedia about the 914. You should already know all that stuff if you're watching this video. But if you want to just see how a 914 in stockish form performs, this is it. Now this is a 5-speed 901 transmission. So just like earlier long hood 911 or early 911, it has the dog leg first gear, which means first gear is down and to the left. And this is a tail shift car. The early cars were tail shifters. Unlike, I believe it was like after 72 or something, it went to like a side shift. But with this, all new transmission bushings, shifter bushings, all the way from top to back. And it does have the Weltmeister short shift kit, which makes a massive difference on this car. All right, now I'll show you, this is on a major highway. This is on Route 15 North, heading through Cunningham Falls, kind of outside of Western Maryland right now. My speedometer says about 80 miles an hour. It's probably more realistically like 75. And you can just see this thing is smooth as glass. Now don't underestimate the 1.7 liter. Without all the emissions garbage that a lot of the later cars got, these things run great. And this thing, you know, it's all been fixed up. I got the new head gaskets on there, I did. The valves have been adjusted perfectly. It's got stainless steel heat exchangers on it to that vintage air-cooled muffler. And it just drives so good. I've daily driven this car for a long time. I mean, not in the rain or the bad weather. I park it in the garage for that, but it can if you want to. The main reason you'd be interested in this car is because it's rust-free. Now this is number 17 Porsche 914s I have owned. And this is the driest, the cleanest, and the best driving one. If you look back at some of my other videos, you'll see the one where I had the 2.2 liter 911 6-cylinder in it. Yeah, it was still on the T cams. It probably needed S cams and maybe Weber carbs instead of those Zeniths that it had. but this feels so much lighter on its feet. And being that it's fuel injected, it'll start every single time. You don't need to pump the gas. You can let off the gas. There's no gurgling, popping, spitting, unbalancing of the cars, because let's be honest, these Type 4 engines, when they're on carburetors, they just don't balance out. People always tend to put, like, you know, the Weber 40s or even 44s on these things, and it's just too big. I know there's probably some people out there that say, oh, mine runs great on cars. Okay, not as good as this. I'm actually running to the post office right now to ship out some parts. I figured, oh, let's take the Porsche. I'll go ahead and hit this exit off to the right. But what's nice is the blinkers work, factory fog lights, high beams, low beams, flip-up headlights, the wipers, which are on this cool little stalk right here. Check that out. Early cars get that. And you just see this thing handles like it's on rails. You get thumbs up all the time too, which is kind of fun. Out here in Maryland, you're not used to seeing the Porsches or the British cars that I drive. It's not like California. Now, you saw I just downshifted. I'm in first gear right now. First to second, second to third. We'll go ahead and hit up some of the twisties up this mountain and see if I got some space between the cars, just so you can see me shifting through it, hitting the brakes, the steering, whatever else you might see. Maybe I'll change the camera angle too. Well, I figured for this next step, let's go ahead and take the top off. And since we're up here in the parklands, I said, well, I might as well film it so you can see the top comes off. It goes in the rear trunk. This is real time, not sped up. One person can do it. Probably the coolest thing about a 914. They fit into these like little white plastic cups on the suspension points, and then these little black rubber kind of arms fold down, and they just so ever slightly hold this top in place. You can still fit stuff underneath this top. Fold your mirrors up. All right, let's see how it is for a view with the top off. We might catch up to this truck pretty quickly, but let's go through the gears real quick. Ready? First, second, third. Retreat area. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Alright, let's go ahead and merge onto the highway. And around here, everybody drives way too fast on this highway. There's a car that's going to pick up. so here we are up on the lift, so I can show you this 914. This is the Vintage Super Sport muffler. I'm not sure if you can see it there. I do have a light attached just in case it's dark. That thing is just so cool. And this is for the 1.7 liter. So this goes to the 1.7 liter stainless steel heat exchangers I did, the Bilstein shocks. As you can see there, the 901 has been painted and coated, which is really nice because it's easier to keep clean that way. I mean, how many cars do you get to see the video of it, like driving, in car, outside a car, and then underneath? I wish I could buy every car like this. But since this one's my personal car that I put together, I kind of thought it was worthy of all of this. Here's your tubes there. All right, so you got your push rod tubes. I did those when I did the head gaskets. I did all of the seals and gaskets. So I did the front main seal, the rear main seal. It's got a new clutch kit in there. Those valve covers, actually those are freshly powder coated valve covers. I'm gonna try to get a little closer. I'm sorry if it's shaky. If anybody's been underneath the 914, you know that they're probably almost impossible to film. Not sure there's a recipe for that. It's dry though. I just drove it about 30 miles into the shop and it's 100 degrees out. I mean, it was all highway miles, but still, it's hot. These are your new e-brake cables. I just did those a couple of months ago. Nothing wrong with the old ones. I just figured I had them. So I did them with like the boots. You can see in there. These are your heater tubes. I got those from Automobile Atlanta. Gotten a lot of parts from them. I'm not gonna lie, they're not the easiest to deal with. And if that guy's watching, sorry man, you gotta step up your customer service. This is your, you know, what they nicknamed the hellhole area. So let's see if I can get in there and videotape. Hold on one second. All right, back to this area. I have to get like a little pen light so you can see. But it is dry. Can you see that? Let's see if it'll focus. Okay. So what you see here is usually this is where your repairs were made, and they're usually done very badly. There's your factory drain. See that? There's your factory drain. You want to make sure that that is obviously not clogged. That's where the pump would be mounted. Now it has an electric pump here and a filter. See here, here's your suspension and jacking points. Let's take a good look at those. Really, really dry. Here it is again. Maybe another angle. Honestly, this is the best I can do for filming. This is pretty impossible. Okay, and let's go ahead and follow. This is your firewall. They do like to rust, so you got to check these out if you're buying a 914. There's your brake distribution valve, your proportioning valve. And here's the other side, which can also rust in these areas. So you want to be careful. You want to look everywhere. Make sure you don't see any holes. They really didn't do a good job of coating these or painting them when they came from the factory. And then we'll just go ahead and hopefully here you can see the seams. Maybe get a larger area here. Just to put things into perspective, again, here is your passenger side. And all of your jack points are in great shape, so you can jack it right up. A lot of these are crushed or people jack from the wrong areas, and these get pinched, but you can see they're in great shape. And if you're buying a 914, there's no reason why you can't ask for a video. We do charge customers a couple bucks to put it up on the lift and shoot one when people are ready for selling their own personal cars. Here's the turbo tie rods. I did the turbo tie rod inner and outer. I just like the spherical bearing a lot better, a little stiffer. Bilstein's up front, Bilstein's in the rear. Weltmeister springs. These get crushed too, so you want to look at those. Get your torsion bar, A-arms, and a lot of people will hit things right here. So you want to look at this area. Just kind of neat, you know. I don't want to discourage people for 914s, but I mean, the majority I see are pretty rough. So just make sure you look underneath it, because you don't want to spend years putting them back together doing rust repair. You want to drive them and enjoy them. I think that should be good. That should give you an idea. Okay, also stainless steel brake lines in the rear. Stainless steel brake lines in the rear. I did factory new rubber brake hoses in the front. P&B rebuilt calipers. And an e-brake that works like factory. Here's your bumper, in case you want to see what that looks like. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna sign off here. Here we go. All right, let's just go ahead and shoot some wheel wells since we're still up on the lift. I'll use my light so you can see everything. It's the right front. Let's travel down. This is the right rear. All right. This is the left driver's side rear. And here is your driver's side front. Oh, also all the evap hoses I did replace. So the evap hoses on the 914s are not the easiest to do, but mine were deteriorated, so I went ahead and did those.